I'm Bethany, 28, standing here in a fancy dress that cost more than most cars. My fingers are tight around a microphone that will change everything. 6 months ago, my parents made me marry Logan, a nobody they said would humble me. It's where you belong after what you did, my mother, Serena, hissed during my dress fitting. What they never guessed, Logan's bank account had more money than our family's entire fortune. Tonight, as I take this mic at my parents' big anniversary party, their perfect world is about to fall apart. Before I tell you how I brought my family to their knees, where are you watching from? Hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever been underestimated by the people who should have believed in you the most. Growing up as Bethany Sterling meant never questioning a life of luxury. Our huge old house in Willow Creek, California, was a symbol of old money and new dreams. My father, Richard Sterling, had turned his grandfather's small real estate office into Sterling Ventures, a huge company all over the West Coast. My mother, Serena, planned our rise in society like a general planning a war. From the grand piano in our sunroom to the marble floor where many rich people had gathered at my parents' famous holiday parties, every part of our home screamed wealth and importance. I learned to play piano by age 7, mastered proper table manners by 9, and understood complex social rules before middle school. Posture, Bethany, Mother would say, pressing a finger between my shoulder blades at fancy events. Sterling women never slouch. My closet was full of custom-made designer clothes. My bathroom had rows of expensive French skincare products. My calendar was packed with horse riding lessons, etiquette classes, and volunteer work that looked good in the society papers. My younger sister, Clara, followed my path with eager determination. 5 years younger than me, she watched my every move with wide-eyed admiration, collecting my old clothes and copying how I spoke. "Teach me how to do that makeup," she'd beg, sitting on my bathroom counter. "Mom says I'll never have your natural grace, but I can try." That casual cruelty was typical of our mother, complimenting me while putting Clara down, then switching it the next day. We were rivals more than sisters, though under our fancy exteriors, we shared the pain of being Serena Sterling's daughters. Mother's best friend, Olivia Maxwell, was her helper, a sharp-eyed socialite whose family's shipping money bought her the freedom to judge others' behavior. She hovered around me at events, noting my drink choices and who I talked to for later reports to my mother. "Bethany, darling," she'd purr, appearing at my side during fundraisers. "That young man you were speaking with, his family owns those discount furniture stores, don't they? How diverse your interests are becoming." Until age 26, I did everything perfectly. I went to a top university, got a business degree, and a job at father's company was waiting. I had the right friends, dated acceptable men from good families, and stayed at the exact weight mother thought was elegant without being too thin. Then I made the biggest mistake. I wanted something of my own. "A boutique," father repeated, looking at my business plan over his reading glasses. "Bethany, we're real estate developers, not shopkeepers." "It's high-end fashion curation, Dad. I found a gap in the market for new designers in Willow Creek. The spot on Elm Street is perfect, and the money looks good." "Fine," he interrupted, already going back to his newspaper. "I'll pay for your little project. Think of it as an expensive lesson in why you should stick to what you know." For 3 wonderful months, the chic corner thrived. The simple space with its Italian lights and carefully chosen clothes attracted fashion editors and influencers. My business partner, Nora Jenkins, handled the daily work while I managed the creative side and client relationships. Then came the call from our accountant. "The accounts are empty, Miss Sterling, and there are unpaid orders to suppliers totaling nearly $300,000. Nora had disappeared with our money, leaving fake records and upset suppliers. The investigation showed she'd done this twice before under different names. The Willow Creek Gazette ran the story on page 6. Sterling heiress duped in boutique scheme.
Mother's society friends whispered behind their fancy fans at charity events. Father's business partners made sympathetic noises while exchanging knowing glances. My parents' reaction was quick and harsh. "Your carelessness has shamed this family," Father thundered during a family dinner. "Did you even check this woman out?" "Richard, your blood pressure," Mother cautioned before turning icy cold eyes to me. "Bethany, your father trusted you with family money. Your recklessness makes us look bad." Within weeks, they took back my apartment, which was owned by Sterling Ventures, canceled my credit cards, and sent me to a guest room in the family mansion. My luxury car disappeared from the garage, replaced by a 10-year-old compact car that Mother called transportation appropriate for someone learning financial responsibility. Every family gathering became a chance to talk about my failure. Every business success by distant cousins led to pointed comments about people who understand their limitations. The Sterling name had survived scandals before: great Uncle Arthur's gambling problem, father's messy divorce, but my business failure became uniquely unforgivable. 6 months of living in shame followed. I applied for jobs at fashion houses and magazines, only to find my family's influence close doors as easily as it had once opened them. I lived in a state of shame, my designer clothes gathering dust as I wore increasingly shabby, appropriate clothes chosen by Mother. The worst part wasn't losing my things or being shamed in public. It was watching my identity disappear. The confident, educated woman with dreams became a warning story, a joke at country club luncheons. The family disappointment brought out as proof that even sterling women could fall. The intervention happened on a Tuesday evening in April. I walked into the formal living room to find Father in his leather chair, Mother sitting beside him, and a stranger in a plain gray suit standing by the fireplace. "Sit down, Bethany," Father instructed, his face alarmingly red. Mother immediately placed her hand on his, a dramatic gesture reminding everyone of his heart condition. "Your father and I have made a decision about your future," Mother began, her voice carrying the false warmth she used when firing household staff. "This situation cannot continue." "I've applied for 37 positions," I defended, counting the rejections I'd received, many from companies with sterling connections, "and demonstrated your complete inability to function independently," Mother interrupted. "We've found a solution." Father cleared his throat. "Mr. Peterson has been our family's attorney for decades. His associate son, Logan, is looking for a wife. He's willing to overlook your recent difficulties." The stranger stepped forward, and I realized with horror he wasn't some business contact. He was the solution they'd arranged. "Logan Davies," he introduced himself, extending a hand that I refused to take. Average height, plain features, medium brown hair in no particular style. His suit looked like it came from a department store, his watch clearly not expensive. "This is crazy," I laughed, waiting for the joke to land. "I'm not marrying a stranger because of one business problem." "This isn't a negotiation," Mother stated flatly. "You'll marry Logan, who has generously agreed to this arrangement despite your circumstances. In return, you'll receive a modest apartment and an entry-level position at your father's company." "And if I refuse this old-fashioned arrangement?" Father's jaw tightened. "Then you'll leave this house with nothing but your personal belongings. No connections, no references, no financial support. Your choice. Your father's heart can't take much more stress," Mother added, the hidden blame heavy in her tone. I ran from the room, seeking comfort in Clara's bedroom. My 23-year-old sister sat cross-legged on her bed, her expression confirming she already knew. "They've been planning this for weeks," she admitted, twisting her graduation ring nervously. "It's not about punishing you anymore, Beth. It's about controlling the story." "What does that mean?" If you marry this guy and take a humble job, they can tell everyone it's a redemption story. The wild daughter who learned her lesson and embraced responsibility by marrying some random lawyer's son. Who even is this person? Clara shrugged. Some financial consultant at a small firm. Dad's lawyer says he's steady and responsible. Mom likes that he's forgettable. He won't outshine their perfect family image, but he's respectable enough. 3 days later, I met Logan for an arranged dinner at a mid-range restaurant. He arrived in a compact car similar to my downgraded vehicle, wearing the same plain suit from our first meeting. His apartment, which he insisted on showing me after dinner, was on the 3rd floor of a converted old building in a neighborhood that was slowly getting better. Simple furniture, minimal decorations, a small collection of classic novels on a standard bookshelf. Nothing suggested passion, ambition, or even a basic personality. "I understand this isn't ideal," he said, watching me look at his ordinary life, "but I think we could build something functional." "Functional?" I repeated. "That's your pitch for an arranged marriage? Not even a pretense of romance or compatibility?" He shrugged, not bothered by my anger. "Would you prefer I lie? We're both entering this arrangement for practical reasons." "What exactly are your practical reasons for marrying a stranger?" I demanded. Before he could answer, his phone buzzed. "Excuse me," he said, stepping into what looked like a home office and closing the door. His muffled voice sounded different, more in charge as he made what seemed like a business call. In desperation, I arranged a secret meeting with Mark Evans, my ex-boyfriend from business school. We dated for 2 years before breaking up nicely when he took a job in Chicago. He had returned to Willow Creek 6 months earlier, reaching out several times before and after my business failed. We met at a quiet bar far from my parents' social circles. Mark looked as polished as ever in his custom suit, his expensive watch gleaming as he stirred his drink. "This arranged marriage is insane, Beth," he agreed after I explained my situation. "Your parents can't seriously expect you to go through with it." "They've given me no choice. They're using Dad's heart condition as emotional blackmail." Mark hesitated, swirling his drink. "What if there was another option? If you had a different husband candidate, someone your parents already approved of before all this happened?" My heart fluttered with sudden hope. "You'd do that for me?" His expression changed, becoming strangely formal. "Look, I've always cared about you, Bethany, and the sterling connections would be valuable for my career. We were good together once. Maybe this situation is an opportunity for both of us." The calculated look in his eyes told me everything. Not, "I love you," but "the sterling connections would be valuable." Not, "I want to save you," but "this situation is an opportunity." I left Mark at the bar and walked 6 blocks in fancy heels that hurt with each step. The realization hit me. My value had always been my family name, my connections, my status. Without those, even former lovers saw me as damaged goods, possibly worth getting at a discount. The final blow came during my wedding dress fitting. Mother had chosen an appropriately plain ivory dress, nothing too princess-like or attention-grabbing. "The Davies boy is making a sacrifice, accepting you with your history," she remarked, telling the seamstress to take in the waist. "This matches where you belong now. Be grateful anyone would take you." I caught my reflection in the 3-way mirror. A trapped woman in a sensible dress, about to enter a sensible marriage, fading into appropriate insignificance. My wedding day dawned with perfect weather that felt like a cruel joke. Mother had planned a tastefully modest ceremony in our estate garden, much smaller than the grand society event that she had once planned for me. "Nothing too flashy, given the circumstances," she told the wedding planner within my hearing. "We're focusing on family values and new beginnings." I moved through the morning in a detached haze. The makeup artist hid my sleepless eyes. The hairstylist arranged my dark hair in a conservative updo. The ivory dress hung on my frame, its simplicity showing how far I had fallen from the fancy socialite I had once been. "You look appropriate," Mother assessed, adjusting my pearl necklace, her idea of suitable jewelry for my diminished status. Remember to smile for the photographs. Everyone knows this isn't the wedding we planned, but appearances matter. Father walked me down the aisle with the firm grip on my arm that felt like holding me back, then supporting me. 50 guests, cut from the original 300, watched my walk with expressions ranging from pity to barely hidden glee. Olivia Maxwell dabbed dramatic tears while whispering to her seatmate. My college roommate Sarah declined her invitation, saying she had a scheduling conflict that didn't stop her from posting tropical vacation photos that same weekend. Even our family pastor's sermon included thinly veiled references to humility and accepting one's place.
Logan waited at the altar, looking surprisingly calm in a suit only slightly better than his everyday clothes. When I reached him, he squeezed my hand gently, the first real human touch I'd felt in months. "Just breathe," he whispered, his calm presence momentarily grounding me in the surreal scene. The reception passed in a blur of condescending well wishes and backhanded compliments. "Marriage will mature you," announced Mother's cousin Martha, patting my cheek. "Some women simply aren't meant for business." "The Davies boy seems steady," offered Father's golf partner David, emphasizing the word, as one might describe a reliable but unexciting dishwasher. I noticed Logan's guests then. Only 5 people who clustered together at their assigned table. Unlike our society friends in designer outfits and family heirlooms, they wore simple but good quality clothing and watched the proceedings with curious, intelligent eyes. A striking woman in her 50s with silver-streaked black hair caught me watching and raised her champagne flute in a private toast that somehow felt more real than all the flowery speeches combined. Our wedding gifts reflected my new status: practical kitchen appliances, modest home decor, and a clear absence of the luxury items that had filled my sister's wedding registry 2 years earlier. Mother's main gift, presented with dramatic flair, was a deed to a starter apartment in a developing area and employment contracts for positions at Sterling Ventures. "Entry-level positions suitable for your capabilities," Father explained, emphasizing my demotion. "Logan in financial services, you in administrative support." We left in Logan's compact car rather than the vintage luxury car that had carried my cousin, Charlotte, at her wedding. No exotic honeymoon awaited us, just a weekend at a bed and breakfast in the mountains before Monday's return to our assigned roles in the Sterling Empire. The apartment, our generous wedding gift, was on the 3rd floor of a converted factory building in a neighborhood slowly getting better. 2 bedrooms, a functional kitchen, views of a brick wall, and furniture Mother had chosen for its blandness. The master bedroom had twin beds that could be pushed together when you're ready, as Mother delicately phrased it. "Home sweet home," Logan commented without irony, setting down our luggage in the living room. "This isn't a home," I retorted, looking at the beige wasteland. "It's a holding cell." The next morning, I faced my new reality, learning to operate a coffee maker I never needed before, figuring out which cleaning products worked on which surfaces, discovering that groceries didn't magically appear in refrigerators. Logan watched my domestic struggles with surprising patience. "I can show you how to make a basic meal plan and grocery list," he offered after finding me staring blankly into our empty refrigerator. "Why aren't you more upset about this?" I demanded, gesturing around our modest surroundings. "You've been forced to marry a stranger and live in this place." "I've lived with less," he replied simply, "and nobody forced me. I agreed to this arrangement." That mysterious statement hung between us as we established an awkward coexistence. Logan left early each morning for his financial consultant position, returning in the evenings to find me struggling with my administrative role at Sterling Ventures, a job involving coffee fetching and filing that any high school graduate could perform. "Your reports need to be filed by client name, not date,"
my supervisor Brenda instructed with barely hidden satisfaction at directing a sterling. Your father expects all employees to follow standard procedures. Weekends develop their own rhythm. Logan often disappeared for business meetings that seemed too much for his supposedly junior position. He maintained a locked home office where he took private calls in a voice that carried more authority than his supposed role warranted. My curiosity grew alongside my suspicion. Why would this unassuming man agree to marry a disgraced socialite? What happened during those weekend meetings? Why did he sometimes receive packages that he immediately secured in his office? 1 month into our arrangement turned marriage, Clara visited unexpectedly, bringing housewarming wine and genuine sisterly concern. This place isn't actually terrible, she assessed, exploring our apartment with interest rather than mother's barely hidden disgust during her obligatory visit. It has character. It has popcorn ceilings and plumbing issues, I corrected, pouring generous glasses of wine. Logan seems nice, she ventured cautiously. Not at all what I expected. What did you expect? Someone desperate or weird? He's neither. She hesitated. He actually reminds me of Dad before all the success. Focused, observant, quietly confident. That evening, Logan returned with takeout from an excellent Thai restaurant that shouldn't have fit our budget. When I questioned the expense, he shrugged it off. Life's too short for bad pad Thai. The three of us assembled a bookshelf together, a project that revealed Logan's methodical nature and unexpected humor. When the shelf collapsed due to my misaligned screws, his deadpan, I believe that's what structural engineers call an epic fail, startled a genuine laugh from me, my first in months. After Clara left, Logan and I shared a moment of unexpected companionship over fortune cookies and coffee. Thank you for being kind to my sister, I said, surprising myself with sincerity. She's caught in the middle of all this. Clara sees you more clearly than your parents do, he replied, breaking his cookie. She values your strength. What strength? I'm living in an arranged marriage in an apartment my mother furnished with reject items from our summer house. Logan studied me with an unexpected intensity. The strength it takes to survive when everything you identified with is stripped away. Many people would have broken.
Something shifted between us that night. Not romance, but perhaps the beginning of respect. I still slept in my separate twin bed, still wondered about his mysterious phone calls, still resented my circumstances, but I began to see Logan Davies as a person rather than a punishment. 6 months into our arrangement turned marriage, I awoke at midnight to find Logan's side of the room empty. This wasn't unusual. His mysterious work calls often pulled him from bed. But tonight, fatigue from a particularly humiliating day at Sterling Ventures overrode my usual respect for his privacy. I followed the muted sound of his voice to his home office, expecting to find the door locked as always. Tonight, however, the knob turned under my hand. The room I entered bore no resemblance to the modest apartment surrounding it. 3 large monitors displayed complex financial data. A Bloomberg terminal, equipment costing tens of thousands of dollars, occupied one corner. The bookshelf held economics and finance books far beyond entry-level knowledge. And there was Logan speaking confidently into a headset while manipulating figures on one screen. The Singapore acquisition needs to close before market opens. Have legal prepare the final documents for my signature. Miller can handle the press statement, standard language about strategic expansion and synergies. He turned, noticing me frozen in the doorway, and smoothly concluded his call. I'll address the remaining items tomorrow. Good night. For a long moment, we stared at each other, me in my faded pajamas, him in a crisp dress shirt and tailored slacks that definitely weren't from the department store. You're not a junior financial consultant, I stated flatly. No, he agreed, removing his headset. I'm not. Then who exactly did I marry? Logan gestured to the chair opposite his desk. As I sat, he opened a drawer and removed a business magazine dated 2 years earlier. He placed it before me, open to a feature article titled The Invisible Billionaire,
Horizon Capital's mysterious CEO. The article detailed Horizon Capital, a multi-billion-dollar private equity firm known for strategic acquisitions and technological innovation. Its CEO, notorious for avoiding photographs and public appearances, had built the company from nothing into a global powerhouse within a decade. "You're LD?" I whispered, recognizing the initials attributed to Horizon's elusive leader. Logan Davies, CEO and founder of Horizon Capital. Current net worth approximately $4.2 billion. My mind raced through fragmented business news I'd dismissed over the years. Rumors about the reclusive billionaire whose investment strategies outperforms even the most established firms. Speculation about his identity. Theories about why someone so successful avoided publicity. Why the deception? Why agreed to marry me? Why live like this when you could have... I gestured wildly at our surroundings. "I value privacy and authenticity," Logan explained, suddenly more animated than I'd ever seen him. "My background isn't privileged. I grew up in a working-class neighborhood in Denver, put myself through state college, and built Horizon through insight and persistence." He paced the small office. "The wealthier I became, the more I saw how money changes how people interact with you. Everyone wants something: access, funding, connection, status. I decided to live modestly and keep my identity private to maintain genuine relationships and perspective." But why marry me? Was this some bizarre social experiment? His expression sobered. "I knew your family through business channels. When Mr. Peterson approached me about this arrangement, I recognized an opportunity to assess the Sterlings firsthand before finalizing certain business decisions." Fury rose in my chest. "So you were corporate due diligence? A way to get inside information on my family's business?" "Initially," he admitted, "but something else happened. I saw someone whose identity had been defined by external markers: family name, social position, material possessions. When those were stripped away, I witnessed your struggle to redefine yourself. It was compelling." My trauma was compelling. My humiliation was interesting case study material. Your resilience was inspiring. "And I saw something your family couldn't, that your business failure wasn't due to incompetence. It was sabotage." That stopped me cold. "What are you talking about?" Logan tapped a few keys, bringing up documents on his central monitor. "Nora Jenkins, 3 previous identities, all with similar schemes. Your mother's foundation made a substantial donation to a nonprofit connected to Nora 2 weeks before she approached you about the partnership." "That's circumstantial," I protested, though my heart raced with terrible suspicion. "Perhaps, but this isn't." He displayed banking records showing transfers between accounts. "Your mother created the conditions for your failure. She ensured you'd fall, then positioned herself and your father as the wise protectors picking up the pieces." The room seemed to tilt as 6 months of shame and self-blame collapsed under this new information. "Why would she do that?" "Control," Logan said simply. "Your business was succeeding. You were establishing independence, building your own network separate from Sterling connections. For someone like your mother, who defines herself by controlling others, that threatened the entire family dynamic." I pressed my fingers against my temples, trying to process this betrayal. "And you've known this how long?" "I suspected before our arrangement. I confirmed it 3 months ago." "Why not tell me immediately?" Logan's expression softened with expected vulnerability. "Because you needed to find your own strength first. Because information without power to act on it just creates deeper wounds." "And now what am I supposed to do with this knowledge?" "That," he said quietly, "depends on what you want. Revenge, reconciliation, escape, something else entirely." The question hung between us. The first time in my adult life someone had asked what I wanted without presuming to already know the answer. "I want justice. And I want my life back.
Not the shallow existence my parents defined, but something authentic, something mine. Logan nodded slowly. I can help with that, if you let me. Why would you help me? What do you get out of this? His gaze held mine steadily. A partner. Someone who sees me for who I am rather than what I own. Someone who understands both worlds and chooses reality over illusion. That sounds suspiciously like a real marriage. Maybe it could be, he suggested, a hint of uncertainty in his voice that humanized the billionaire CEO more than anything else could have. We could start over. No arrangements, no deceptions, no expectations except honesty.
That night, we pushed the twin beds together for the first time, not for physical intimacy, but to lie facing each other in the darkness, taking down our false personas and offering genuine truths instead. Logan described growing up with a single mother who cleaned houses, scholarships that barely covered tuition, the algorithm he developed in his dorm room that eventually became Horizon's foundation. I shared my childhood of conditional love, the suffocating expectations, moments of rebellion swiftly punished, and the genuine passion for fashion and design that my parents had dismissed as frivolous. I never wanted their real estate empire, I confessed. I wanted to create something beautiful and functional that was entirely my own. You still can, Logan replied, and I can help you clear your name in the process. In the morning light, we faced each other, not as arranged spouses, but as allies with a common purpose. Logan extended his hand formally, eyes twinkling with unexpected mischief. Partners? He asked. I took his hand, feeling something like hope unfurl for the first time in nearly a year. Partners. Our partnership began with education. Logan cleared his schedule for 2 weeks, turning our modest living room into a financial war room. Whiteboards appeared on walls, documents replaced decorative books, and takeout containers from Willow Creek's finest restaurants fueled our strategic sessions. The first step, Logan explained, is understanding exactly what happened with your boutique. Not your mother's version, not the media story, but the actual financial and legal facts. He introduced me to Evelyn Stone, the silver-haired woman from our wedding. As Horizon's chief strategic officer and Logan's mentor, she brought decades of corporate intelligence experience to our planning sessions. Your boutique's business model was actually quite good, Evelyn noted, reviewing my original plans. Your inventory selection showed remarkable intuition for new designers who've since become famous. With proper support, you'd have been profitable within 18 months. This validation, professional and objective, healed something I hadn't realized was still raw. My business hadn't failed because of my incompetence, but because of deliberate sabotage. Logan guided me through complex financial concepts, patiently explaining market dynamics and investment strategies. I absorbed everything, fueled by determination to reclaim my story. You have excellent instincts, he observed, after I correctly identified weaknesses in a sample business proposal. You just lack technical knowledge and experience, gaps anyone could fill with proper education. Evelyn's assignments built my confidence, analyzing financial statements, identifying manipulation tactics, recognizing patterns in corporate communications. Each successfully completed task replaced a brick in the foundation of self-worth my parents had systematically destroyed. Our investigation into Nora Jenkins revealed a professional con artist who specialized in targeting wealthy families. Her previous identities, Rachel Carter, Renee Campbell, and Rita Chambers, followed identical patterns: establish trust, secure investment, embezzle funds, then disappear. She never should have passed basic due diligence, Logan noted, displaying her multiple fraud convictions under various aliases. Someone deliberately hid these red flags during your vetting process. That someone, we discovered, was Arthur Hayes, father's closest business associate and the man who had helpfully recommended Nora for my boutique partnership. Arthur has been your father's fixer for decades, Evelyn explained. When Sterling Ventures needs problems solved discreetly, Arthur handles the details Richard prefers not to know.
Logan's team uncovered offshore accounts linking Arthur to both Nora and suspicious transactions from my mother's personal foundation. Mother funded the operation through her charity, Logan explained, displaying the money trail. Arthur identified and recruited Nora, then ensured she passed her background checks. They created the perfect storm to ensure your business would fail spectacularly enough to justify your parents' intervention. Each revelation hardened my resolve. These weren't impulsive actions, but a calculated plan to destroy my independence. Why go to such lengths? I wondered aloud during one strategy session. Why not simply refuse to fund my boutique? Because this accomplished multiple objectives. It publicly discredited their business judgment, created the perception that you needed protection, justified their controlling measures, and reinforced their narrative that sterling success comes only through the established family channels. Logan nodded. Control through humiliation is exceptionally effective. They ensured you would question your own capabilities so thoroughly that their solution, marriage to a supposedly modest financial consultant, would seem like merciful rescue rather than punishment. The perfect opportunity for revelation presented itself when Mother's assistant called with a command performance. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling request your presence at their 35th anniversary celebration, black tie, 7 o'clock, grand ballroom. After ending the call, I turned to Logan with the first genuine smile in months. I believe we've just received our invitation to the perfect stage. The anniversary party would gather the entire Sterling social circle, business associates, and family members, all the people who had witnessed my downfall and accepted my parents' story without question.
Logan immediately began arranging strategic elements, discreetly inviting key Horizon executives and business journalists, securing digital access to the venue's audiovisual systems, and compiling evidence into a presentation that would be impossible to dismiss. Meanwhile, I focused on psychological preparation. With Evelyn's guidance, I practiced maintaining composure under pressure, delivering key messages clearly, and anticipating my parents' likely countermoves. They'll attempt to discredit you emotionally first, Evelyn warned during a simulation. They'll paint you as unstable, ungrateful, or delusional. You must remain absolutely factual and composed. Logan's friend, Marcus, Horizon's security chief, trained me to recognize and counter manipulation tactics. Your mother will try interrupting to break your rhythm. Your father will likely use his health as a shield. Anticipate these moves and prepare specific responses. While our professional preparation advanced rapidly, my personal transformation progressed more gradually. Logan suggested shopping for an appropriate party outfit, offering his black card without restrictions. Buy whatever makes you feel powerful, he said simply. Instead of returning to my former designer boutiques, I visited a small shop owned by Isabella Chen, a talented designer I'd befriended before my downfall, one of the few who hadn't abandoned me after the scandal. "Bethany," she exclaimed, embracing me warmly, "I've been trying to reach you for months. Your mother's assistant always says you are unavailable." This revelation that Mother had actively blocked my remaining friendships added another layer to their isolation tactics. Isabella created a stunning gown in deep crimson, not the subdued palette Mother would expect, with strong lines that communicated strength rather than decorative femininity. "This isn't just a dress, it's armor," Isabella noted during the final fitting. 2 weeks before the party, Logan suggested I reconnect with Clara, knowing I'd need at least one family ally in the room. "Your sister has been watching you more closely than you realize," he observed. "She visits your old boutique location monthly, as if paying respects." I invited Clara for coffee at a neutral location away from parental surveillance. She arrived looking simultaneously polished in her Sterling-approved wardrobe and exhausted beneath her perfect makeup. "Mom's been impossible since you left," she confided. "Without you to focus on, all her controlling energy redirected to me. Last week, she replaced my entire wardrobe because my selections were becoming eccentric." "Clara, there's something you need to know about my business failure," I began carefully. Her expression stopped me. "That it wasn't really your fault? That Mom and Dad orchestrated it? I've suspected for months." My shock must have shown because she continued in a rushed whisper.
I overheard Arthur and Dad arguing about payment to the Jenkins woman. Then I found old pictures of Nora with different hair and names in Mother's foundation files when I was helping organize their charity gala. Why didn't you tell me? Her eyes filled with tears. By the time I put it together, you were already married and gone. Mother monitors my calls and visits. I've been waiting for a chance to talk to you alone. We spent hours strategizing her role in our plan, not as an active participant, which would make her vulnerable to our parents' retaliation, but as a neutral witness, positioned to observe everything. The night before the party, Logan and I conducted our final preparation. Evidence compiled, presentations loaded, plans for every scenario. "Are you absolutely certain you want to do this?" Logan asked as we reviewed our timeline once more. "Once set in motion, there's no going back. Your relationship with your parents may never recover." I considered his question seriously, weighing the comfort of continued submission against the cost of never reclaiming my truth. "What relationship would I be preserving?" I finally answered. "One built on control and conditional love? That's not worth saving. I want relationships based on truth and mutual respect, even if that means having fewer of them." Logan nodded, then hesitated before reaching for my hand. "Whatever happens tomorrow, I want you to know something. This arrangement began as a business decision, but somewhere along the way, it became the most meaningful partnership I've ever experienced. You've shown more courage and integrity than anyone I've known." In the quiet of our bedroom, with twin beds now permanently replaced by a king-size mattress we'd selected together, I realized the ultimate irony. My parents' attempt to diminish me through an arranged marriage had instead connected me with the first person who truly saw and valued me beyond my family name or social position. "We take back my story tomorrow," I whispered as we drifted toward sleep. "And then we start writing a new story, one that belongs entirely to us." The grand ballroom transformed under Mother's exacting supervision into a monument to Sterling's success and longevity. White orchids and crystal decorations created an atmosphere of pristine luxury. Photographs chronicling Richard and Serena's 35-year marriage, carefully chosen to emphasize their rise in society, adorned illuminated displays. Logan and I arrived deliberately 15 minutes late in his previously hidden luxury car, ensuring maximum visibility as we entered. My crimson gown drew immediate attention among the sea of safe black dresses and conservative jewel tones. Logan, no longer hiding behind plain suits, wore a perfectly tailored tuxedo that subtly communicated wealth and confidence. Mother spotted us immediately, her practiced smile faltering as she noticed my unauthorized color choice and unexpected confidence. She approached with Father in tow, his flushed face suggesting pre-event cocktails. "Bethany, Logan," she greeted coolly, "how striking you look tonight." "Congratulations on 35 years, Logan replied smoothly, presenting an envelope. "We've made a donation to the Children's Hospital in your honor." Mother accepted the envelope, her eyebrows rising slightly at the amount visible through the windowed paper. "How generous, Logan. Your consulting must be going exceptionally well." "You could say I found my niche," he replied with deliberate understatement. Father assessed Logan with narrowed eyes, noticing the subtle details he'd previously overlooked. The hand-stitched tuxedo, the limited edition watch, the quiet confidence that couldn't be bought or faked. "Sterling Ventures must be paying junior staff better than I realized," he commented, fishing for information. "Actually, Richard," Logan responded, using my father's first name for the first time, "I found alternative employment that better utilizes my capabilities." Before Father could probe further, Mother interjected. "Do circulate, dears. So many people are eager to see how you're adapting." As they moved to greet other guests, Logan whispered, "Your mother just activated the Society Brigade. Incoming judgment in 3, 2, 1. On cue, Olivia Maxwell materialized beside us, her diamond necklace glittering like an expensive collar. Bethany, darling, how brave of you to wear such a bold color in your position. And Logan, you've acquired a more cosmopolitan appearance since the wedding. Learning to dress for success? Actually, Olivia, I replied with practiced calm, Logan has been teaching me about authentic success versus mere appearance. It's been quite illuminating. We navigated the room strategically, Logan introducing me to colleagues who were actually Horizon executives and board members. The reactions from my parents' circle shifted from condensation to confusion as these apparently influential figures treated me with marked respect. Bethany has remarkable insight into consumer behavior and market positioning, Logan told the bewildered chairman of Willow Creek's largest bank. Her analysis recently guided one of our most successful acquisitions. Across the room, I spotted Nora Jenkins, my embezzling former partner, in animated conversation with Mother. Her presence, clearly orchestrated to unsettle me, instead confirmed the coordination behind my downfall. I approached them directly, interrupting their conversation with deliberate poise. "Nora, what a surprise to see you here." She faltered, unprepared for my composure. "Bethany, I heard stepped back from fashion." "Temporarily, though I've been deeply involved in investigating financial irregularities in the industry. Fascinating patterns emerge when you have the right data." Mother intervened swiftly. "Nora was just telling me about her new venture. Such innovation." "I'm sure she has extensive experience with new identities and ventures, though proper background checks do complicate the process, don't they?" Leaving them visibly unsettled, I rejoined Logan as he chatted with Marcus, who gave an imperceptible nod, confirming our technical preparations were complete. Clara found us moments later, elegant in navy blue with subtle rebellion in her statement earrings. "Everything is proceeding according to Mother's minute-by-minute schedule. Toasts begin in 20 minutes, starting with Father's business partner, Arthur." "Perfect timing," Logan murmured, guiding us toward a quiet corner where Evelyn and Isabella waited with final confirmations. "All evidence files loaded and ready," Evelyn reported. "Marcus has secured the audio-visual system and disabled any override capabilities." Isabella squeezed my hand. "The fashion blogs already have photos of you arriving, comments trending positively on your comeback style. Whatever happens tonight, the visual narrative is already shifting." As scheduled, the orchestra's volume decreased as Father's associate, Arthur, tapped his crystal glass for attention. His toast, flowery and false, praised the sterling family values of integrity and excellence while pointedly noting the challenges that strengthen family bonds. 3 additional speakers followed with similar empty words, each speech reinforcing the carefully built sterling mythology. Mother beamed appropriately, Father accepted congratulations with practiced humility, and guests nodded at the familiar story of deserved success and exemplary character. Following the official program, Mother approached the microphone for her scripted moment of gratitude. Dressed in ice blue couture that had required 3 international fittings, she embodied calculated perfection. "Richard and I are deeply moved by your presence tonight. Family has always been our foundation, the core value that guided our marriage and business through 35 extraordinary years." She continued with practiced vulnerability. "Like any family, we've weathered challenges. We've supported each other through difficulties. We've demonstrated that with proper guidance, even setbacks become opportunities for growth and realignment with core values." Her days found me in the crowd, her message unmistakable. My setback had been appropriately managed through their intervention. "And now," she concluded with theatrical warmth, "we invite our daughter Bethany to offer a few words. Despite recent difficulties, family remains family." The spotlight found me as scattered applause acknowledged Mother's generous inclusion of her fallen daughter. With Logan's reassuring presence beside me, I approached the stage with measured confidence. Taking the microphone, I surveyed the assembled crowd, the society friends who had abandoned me, the business associates who had blocked my employment opportunities, the family members who had accepted my parents' story without question. Thank you, Mother, for this opportunity to address everyone on your special night. I began with practiced calm. Tonight, we celebrate a 35-year partnership between Richard and Serena Sterling. A partnership that, as we've heard repeatedly tonight, is built on family values, integrity, and unwavering support. Mother nodded approvingly from her seat, anticipating the beautiful brief congratulations she had scripted for me. These values were impressed upon me throughout my childhood. Integrity above all, family supporting family, the Sterling name representing excellence and ethical conduct. I paused, allowing anticipation to build before shifting direction, which is why I found it so educational to discover what happens when those values conflict with the desire for control. Mother's smile froze. Father straightened in his chair. 1 year ago, I opened a boutique featuring new designers. The business model was sound, the location ideal, and initial reception enthusiastic. Then, my business partner, Nora Jenkins, emptied our accounts and disappeared with our capital. Murmurs rippled through the crowd as I gestured toward Nora, who edged toward the exit, only to find Marcus casually blocking her path. What I didn't know then, what I've only recently discovered, is that Nora Jenkins was not a random fraudster who targeted me. She was specifically recruited, vetted, and inserted into my business by individuals determined to ensure my venture would fail. The ballroom screens activated simultaneously, displaying banking records linking Mother's foundation to Nora's offshore accounts. These financial transactions show payments from the Serena Sterling Foundation to shell companies controlled by Nora Jenkins. Payments made shortly before she approached me about partnership, and again immediately after she embezzled our funds. Gasps and whispers intensified as I advanced through meticulously organized evidence. Emails between Arthur and Nora discussing the Sterling daughter situation. Mother's instructions regarding the timing of the embezzlement. Father's knowledge of the plan to teach Bethany necessary lessons about independence. This orchestrated business failure served multiple purposes, I explained, maintaining the professional tone Logan and Evelyn had helped me perfect. It discredited my judgment, justified unprecedented control over my personal and professional choices, and culminated in an arranged marriage designed to remove me from public view while maintaining family appearances. Mother stood abruptly. This is preposterous. Bethany has clearly been manipulated by whom, Mother? I interrupted calmly. By my husband, the supposedly modest financial consultant you selected precisely because he seemed controllable and grateful for Sterling connections. I gestured toward Logan, who approached the stage with characteristic composure. Allow me to properly introduce my husband. This is Logan Davies, founder and CEO of Horizon Capital. Current valuation, $68 billion. Perhaps you've read about him, though he's famously private about his identity and prefers the substance of success over its trappings. The screen shifted to display news articles about Horizon's founder, investment performance metrics that outpaced even the most established firms, and Logan's estimated personal net worth significantly exceeding the Sterling family fortune. The stunned silence that followed was broken by Olivia Maxwell's audible "Good God" from the front table. Logan agreed to our arranged marriage for his own reasons. Reasons that evolved from strategic business intelligence to something neither of us anticipated. Authentic partnership based on mutual respect and shared values. The actual family values my parents espoused but failed to practice. Father rose, his face alarmingly red. This public display is unconscionable. My heart condition is being monitored by 2 cardiologists on Horizon's board who are present tonight. Your health concerns are noted and addressed, Richard, though they seem remarkably situational in their appearance. Mother attempted to reach the stage, but the presentation continued relentlessly. Evidence of Arthur's coordination with Nora, documentation of my parents' systematic isolation tactics, communications revealing their orchestration of my social and professional rejection. The sterling reputation for business excellence remains well-deserved, I acknowledged. My parents built an extraordinary company through vision and persistence. What remains in question is the character that accompanied that success. The willingness to destroy their daughter's reputation and confidence to maintain control. The final slides displayed my original boutique business plan alongside professional assessments from top retail consultants, confirming its viability, market potential, and sound financial modeling. I stand before you not seeking sympathy or revenge, but simply reclaiming my narrative. My business didn't fail because of my incompetence. It failed because my independence threatened a family dynamic built on control rather than support. As I concluded, Logan's executive strategically engaged key business leaders throughout the room. Fashion journalists discreetly recorded statements from Nora, who, facing potential fraud charges, began implicating Arthur in exchange for potential immunity. Mother finally reached the stage, her carefully maintained composure cracking. "How dare you hijack our anniversary celebration for this performance after everything we've done for you? The sacrifices." The only sacrifice was my autonomy. And it wasn't given, Mother, it was taken through deliberate manipulation and orchestrated humiliation.
Father joined her, breathing heavily, but without the theatrical clutching of his chest that typically accompanied family confrontations. This relationship can be repaired, Bethany, but not without significant atonement on your part. This public spectacle is simply truth supported by evidence, Logan interjected, a concept that should resonate with a family that claims to value integrity above all. As security discreetly removed and now hysterical Nora from the premises, business leaders and society figures alike processed the undeniable evidence presented. The sterling mythology of perfect family unity had crumbled, replaced by documented manipulation that couldn't be dismissed as a daughter's emotional allegations. Clara approached the stage, positioning herself deliberately beside me rather than our parents. This visual statement, the younger Sterling daughter aligning with the truth rather than family fiction, delivered the final blow to Mother's carefully constructed narrative. The dynasty built on appearance over substance faced its reckoning not through scandal headlines or whispered rumors, but through methodical exposure of its own documented actions. As Logan and I departed the ballroom, leaving behind the debris of a shattered family mythology, he leaned close to whisper, "This isn't the end. It's the beginning of something authentic." For the first time in my adult life, I faced an unscripted future and found myself utterly unafraid. The Sunday following the party, Willow Creek society pages struggled to diplomatically cover what was already being called the Sterling Revelation. Headlines ranged from the tactful 35th anniversary gala takes unexpected turn to the more direct Sterling family business practices questioned after heiress's presentation. Logan monitored the coverage with professional detachment, sorting reports into categories for our legal team's review. "The narrative is splitting along predictable lines," he observed over breakfast in our modest apartment, our last day before moving to his actual residence. Older establishment figures are attempting damage control for your parents, while business publications are focusing on the documented evidence. I nodded, scanning industry newsletters that had already picked up the story of Nora's fraud scheme and my parents' involvement. Fashion blogs are treating it as redemption. The unfairly maligned designer vindicated. Mother must be furious about losing control of the narrative. My phone vibrated with a text from Clara. Parents in crisis mode. Dad actually yelling. Mom broke her favorite vase. Can we meet? Need escape plan. Logan and I met her at a quiet cafe far from Sterling territory. My sister arrived looking simultaneously terrified and exhilarated. The house is unbearable, she reported. Mother cycling between icy fury and tactical sobbing. Father's locked himself in his study with the family attorneys. Olivia Maxwell sent a message postponing their summer plans, which Mother interpreted as total abandonment. Are you safe there? I asked, concerned about her bearing the brunt of their displaced rage. Physically, yes. Emotionally, she shrugged. They're too focused on damage control to bother with me, though Mother delivered a 20-minute monologue about familial betrayal when I declined to call you delusional on the record. By week's end, Logan had helped Clara secure her own apartment and position at a respected architectural firm, her actual passion, which our parents had dismissed as impractical compared to the sterling real estate track they'd planned for her. Meanwhile, Logan and I transitioned to our authentic life together. His actual residence, a stunning penthouse overlooking Willow Creek Harbor, reflected his true personality, far more than the modest apartment he'd endured during our arrangement. I've owned this place for 5 years, but rarely spent time here, he explained as we entered the spacious, light-filled space. Too empty with just me. It needed the right person to make it feel like home. The penthouse, like Logan, balanced understated luxury with genuine comfort. Custom bookshelves housed his actual collection: philosophy, economics, architecture, and surprising vintage science fiction. The kitchen featured professional-grade equipment that revealed his hidden culinary skills. His office, no longer needing concealment, showcased the command center from which he directed his global investments. You maintained the deception flawlessly, I nodded, exploring rooms that revealed more about my husband in minutes than I'd learned in our first months together. No wonder Horizon's competitors can't anticipate your moves. I've spent years perfecting professional privacy. What I never mastered was personal connection, until you. Our personal evolution mirrored our changing external circumstances. The marriage that began as a business arrangement developed authentic dimensions neither of us had anticipated. Mutual respect evolved into genuine affection. Partnership deepened into trust, and shared goals created a foundation stronger than any society match could ever provide. 3 weeks after the party, my parents' attorney contacted us with a proposed reconciliation agreement, essentially a contract establishing conditions for reunification, complete with mutual non-disclosure provisions and scheduled appearances at key social events. They're still attempting to control the narrative, Logan observed as we reviewed the document together. Notice how it frames everything as misunderstandings rather than deliberate actions. I declined the agreement with a simple response. Reconciliation begins with accountability, not contractual appearances. I remain open to honest conversation when they're ready for authenticity over image. My professional rehabilitation proceeded more positively. With Logan's strategic guidance and Evelyn's mentorship, I developed a business plan for a revised boutique concept, one built on sustainable practices and emerging designer incubation. Your original model was sound, Evelyn confirmed during our planning session. With proper financial structure and experienced operational support, there's no reason this venture shouldn't succeed. Horizon provided initial funding as a proper business investment, rather than family obligation. Logan insisted on standard due diligence and return expectations because you don't need charity or favors. Your concept deserves legitimate back. Isabella joined as creative director, bringing her design expertise and industry connections. We secured a location 3 blocks from my original boutique, a symbolic reclamation of territory I'd been forced to abandon. 4 months after the gala revelation, we held a small launch event for Authentic Threads. Fashion editors, industry buyers, and selected clients attended, with notable absences. My parents declined their invitations with formal regrets. Olivia Maxwell and her social circle conveniently had prior commitments. Their absence highlighted the most significant aftermath, the necessity of rebuilding life with chosen connections rather than obligatory ones. Some relationships couldn't survive truth-telling, and perhaps were never meant to. My twice-weekly therapy sessions helped process this reality. Dr. Ramirez specialized in family trauma and identity reclamation, guiding me through grief for the family I thought I had and acceptance of the family that actually existed. Your parents' capacity for relationship may always be conditional, she observed during one particularly difficult session. That doesn't diminish your worth or right to authenticity. 6 months after the revelation, Logan and I faced the question that had hovered unspoken. What did we want from our accidental marriage now that its original premise had evaporated? Over dinner at our now favorite neighborhood restaurant, a place we discovered during our modest life that we continued patronizing despite having access to Willow Creek's most exclusive establishments, Logan proposed a solution. "I've been thinking about our unusual beginning," he said, reaching for my hand across the table. "We started with contracts and arrangements rather than choice and emotion. What if we reset completely?" From his pocket, he produced not an ostentatious diamond, but a simple band of meteorite and gold. This marriage began as a business decision that evolved into something authentic and unexpected. I'd like to choose it properly this time. Choose you, not for appearances or advantages, but because you've become essential to my life. 2 months later, we held a private ceremony on the rooftop garden of our penthouse. 20 guests, true friends and chosen family, witnessed our exchange of vows that acknowledged our unconventional beginning and committed to our chosen future. Clara stood beside me, flourishing in her new independence and genuine passion for sustainable architecture. Isabella adjusted my simple gown, her original design created specifically for this authentic celebration. Evelyn and Marcus represented Logan's chosen family, the loyal colleagues who had known his true identity when the world saw only what he allowed them to see. My parents attended, a tentative first step toward whatever relationship might be possible. Their presence came without conditions or expectations, their seating with regular guests rather than special family positioning. Mother approached during the reception, her careful, neutral expression masking whatever emotions churned beneath. The ceremony was tasteful, she offered, the closest approximation to approval she could manage. "The dress suits you." "Thank you for coming," I replied simply. "It matters that you're here." Father maintained greater distance, though he approached Logan with what appeared to be genuine curiosity about Horizon's sustainable investment initiatives, a conversation about actual business rather than appearances or control. 1 year after the party revelation that transformed our lives, Logan and I created our own anniversary tradition, a quiet dinner where we exchanged private truths rather than public performances. I never expected happiness from our arrangement, I admitted, sharing vulnerability still difficult to voice. At best, I hoped for tolerable coexistence. Finding genuine partnership seemed impossible. I planned for a strategic alliance and temporary inconvenience. I never anticipated needing someone or allowing myself to be truly known, Logan confessed. The modest apartment where we began our strange journey became Clara's first independent home. Our wedding gift to her, a space where she could define herself beyond sterling expectations. The boutique flourished, expanding to include a designer incubator program supporting emerging talent. My relationship with my parents evolved into something neither wholly estranged nor falsely reconciled, a careful navigation of boundaries and limited engagement based on their capacity for authentic connection rather than controlled performance. Most significantly, the woman who entered an arranged marriage believing herself fundamentally flawed and deserving of punishment discovered a different truth. That authentic strength comes not from perfect performance, but from honest self-knowledge and the courage to live truthfully. The parents who arranged my marriage to humble me inadvertently connected me with the person who most clearly saw my value. The man they chose to diminish me instead became my strongest advocate and partner. The humble circumstances meant to teach me my place instead taught me that genuine worth transcends external markers of success. Perhaps that's the ultimate lesson worth sharing. Sometimes the very circumstances designed to break us become the foundation for rebuilding something authentic and unbreakable. Have you ever discovered strength in what initially seemed like your lowest moment? Has someone else's attempt to control you eventually led to unexpected freedom? Share your story in the comments below. And if this tale of finding authenticity resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about transformation and resilience. Thank you for joining me on this journey. May you find the courage to claim your own authentic narrative, whatever unexpected forms it may take.